Hey, welcome to How to Make Dinner. I'm Paula, and today I'm making a really easy and super cozy vegan chili with smoked tempeh. Chili is one of the most reliable fan favorites at my house, so I love making it. It's super easy. I always have tons of beans and canned tomatoes and things in my cupboard, so it's kind of a pantry staple. And I can just make it in my Instant Pot, and it's just a no-brainer. So today I wanted to make a little bit of a special one. I'm using smoked tempeh in this one. Tempeh is a really interesting product. It originates in Indonesia, and it's made from soybeans or other kinds of beans. You can actually make it with any bean, and it's fermented, and it creates this kind of, I think it's like a mold or like a fungus that basically kind of takes the beans and makes it form a bit of a cake. And it's full of protein. It's got probiotics in it. A lot of people use it as a vegetarian substitute for like a meaty sandwich because it's so meaty. And I'm gonna use it here in my veggie chili to make it a little bit more hearty and also to add a really nice smoky flavor. This veggie chili is pretty simple. I have a few little twists along the way, but I'm gonna start off with my veg. So I have an onion, a carrot, a couple sticks of celery, and a couple of peppers, and a couple of giant cloves of garlic. These are like humongous. I've got my Instant Pot here, and I'm just gonna turn it on to saute, and I'm just gonna chuck things in as they're chopped. You can use a Dutch oven or anything you normally make chili in. I just love the Instant Pot because I turn it on and walk away, and I love doing that. Always start with onions because they kind of just need the most time. And then I normally go onions, then celery, then carrots. A little splash of oil into the Instant Pot. I'm gonna throw in the onions, and it doesn't matter that it's not hot yet. It'll get hot in a minute. I'm not worried. Ooh, I am tearing up a little bit though. The shape in which you cut your carrots is so personal. It's funny, I've always done like tiny little cubes, but lately I've been on a real circles kick. I think because it just reminds me of my childhood. For this chili though, I'm gonna do a bit of a dice just because I want things to be relatively small. I don't really want to notice them. I want everything to be one kind of harmonious mixture. And if you really don't like chopping, you can definitely do this part in a food processor. I always like to add salt pretty early because it helps to draw out some of the moisture in the veggies. So I'm gonna add a couple teaspoons right off the bat. While I continue chopping. Next is the spices. So I always like to add spices in the sauteing stage so that the kind of essential oils can come out and maybe even toast a little bit, but mostly just so that I can get that burst of aroma because it's really enjoyable. So spice-wise, I keep it pretty simple. I like to use cumin, ground cumin. This is about a tablespoon. And I know that there's onion and garlic in there already, but I also like to amp up the flavor with more onion powder and garlic powder. So I'm gonna use about a tablespoon of onion powder, a tablespoon of garlic powder, about a tablespoon of dried oregano. By tablespoon, I'm just using like a soup spoon. And I always like to kind of crush that in with my fingers. And about 3 tablespoons of chili powder. And that's smelling really good now. So I'm gonna dump in everything else basically. First up, I have a bit of a twist ingredient. it's leftover coffee from this morning. I know it's kind of weird, but there's something about coffee that just does really nice things to chili. It's got that kind of richness, a little bit of bitterness, and I really like it. So about half a cup or whatever's left in the pot. Tomatoes. So I have a big can of whole tomatoes, and I start by dumping in the juice. And then I like to either chop or squish the actual tomatoes in. I don't like blending them in this application because I just kind of like the chunks. Always have to be careful to squish them over the pot. And hopefully maybe not wear white. You can also use chopped tomatoes. But I've always read and heard that the best quality tomatoes are the ones that they use for whole tomatoes. And then they use like subpar tomatoes for the chopped and the crushed. So I tend to buy whole and then just work with them from that stage. Next is some black beans. So this is one large can of black beans, which works out to about 2 cups or 350 grams. And then I have the same amount of pinto beans, which I've cooked myself. But you could use canned or dried or whatever. Next is the tempeh, and I'm not using a ton of it, mostly because it's smoked and it actually has quite a strong flavor. This is just 1 packet. And the way that I go about getting this in is just crumbling it basically with my fingers. I think that delivers the most kind of meaty, rough texture that I want. And you can see that it's kind of like a solid mass, but when you start to break it up, you can see the individual little beans. It's just beans held together with this substance. I don't know how to explain it. I did try making tempeh a couple times. Both times it failed. You can buy the kind of culture that you need, and then you stir that into some beans and then let it sit at this kind of warmish temperature for a couple days. But I was lining coolers with hot water bottles, and I tried multiple different ways, and it just failed miserably. But people do it successfully, just not me. Lastly, I'm just going to fill this tomato tin halfway full with water, or you could use vegetable stock and then dump that in. Already, I can tell that it's going to be really smoky. If you didn't have smoked tempeh, or you wanted to use something else, some other kind of tofu or something else, you could also just add some smoked paprika to give it that smoky flavor. And that's everything. So I'm just going to throw the lid on, and I'm going to set it to pressure cook for 20 minutes. Once the chili's done, I do like to just let it release slowly, because why not? It's kind of like giving it that slow cooked all day kind of flavor in a short amount of time. And it's definitely going to be better the next day, by the way. So good thing this is a pretty large batch. But we're having this for dinner tonight. So all I have to think about now is toppings. I don't know about you, but to me, chili is just a base for toppings. And I am all about the fresh green stuff, the cheesy stuff, the sour creamy yogurty stuff, and basically just a big assortment of toppings. So I love to use things like green onions, red onions, cilantro, chopped fresh tomatoes, or like a fresh pico de gallo kind of thing. I love avocado, I love cheddar cheese, I love feta cheese, and sometimes I love to scoop this chili over a nice fluffy baked potato. That's one of my very favorite applications. That's it for this vegan chili with smoked tempeh. I hope you liked it, and the whole recipe will be linked down below. So if you're looking for a real easy, delightful gem for a meatless Monday, or any day really, this is just the perfect thing. Such a crowd pleaser. And I look forward to seeing you again next time.